they will say that I have shed innocent blood. But what's blood for, if not for shedding? Welcome to the Horrible Film School, a dark place to watch scary movies. I am Chris, joined today by my colleague, Mr. Hootie.
What's going on, fellas? I'm really excited to talk about candy today. I am a fat kid at heart.
Aren't we all? Also, here we have the class clown, the Randy Man, my brother, Professor Joe E.
Yeah, we got the nips out again tonight. It's a hot night over here in North Carolina.
Those sweet summer nights.
Let them breathe.
I think the country's like half on fire, so it checks out.
Those summer nights.
Heavy spoilers ahead as we slice up 1992's Candyman. Today's lesson, how to scout for real estate in Chicago.
Let me try to sum this movie up in a little short, sweet little paragraph here. In today's world, it seems to be almost impossible to find the right one. When it comes to Candyman, however, he doesn't have to worry about that. The woman that captures his eye is named Helen, and she is very interested in him as well, thanks to her research on urban legends. The cat and mouse game that follows will soon lead her to some delicious organic honey and steamy romance with the Candyman.
More like orgasmic honey. Hi-oh. This movie has a lot more sexual undertones than I thought it would.
I'm not even sure they're undertones.
I mean, I guess not, but I guess we'll get into it. But yeah, there's a few scenes where it's kind of questionable. Like, is this really a horror film or more like a fucking snuff film? What are we watching here?
Anywho, let's get into the cast and crew. The director and writer of Candyman is Bernard Rose. And this dude has a pretty short IMDb. He was an actor in Army of Darkness. It's about the only thing that I recognized. And this movie was based on Clive Barker's short story called The Forbidden.
Clive Barker, as you guys know, Hellraiser. Oh, no tears, please. It's the waste of good suffering.
I think we just learned what Joey's pick will be if he ever wins the roulette wheel.
It's a possibility.
Let's get into the actors now. Helen Lyle, played by Virginia Madsen, who the audience might know from Sideways and the original Dune.
She's also in a couple more movies, Hootie. I don't know if you've ever heard of them. The Prophecy with Christopher Walken. Over here, he shoved the watch so far up his ass. Also in the number 23, little ditty you guys might know, starring Jim Carrey.
You love the number 23.
Dude, I fucking love that movie. I guess that's kind of horror, right? Maybe we do like a Congo and the number 23 mashup.
Horrible, maybe.
Horrible, maybe.
Definitely horrible.
Also, another fun fact about Virginia, she is the sister of Michael Madsen. You gonna bark all day, little doggy? Or are you gonna bite?
Are you gonna bite? She definitely had a familiar look about her.
And
her name
hot,
I did
dude.
recognize. Yeah,
Holy
very attractive
shit.
lady.
The hair, like, I thought, at first I saw the hair, I'm like, oh my God, what is this Betty Crocker looking shit? Then it's like, the more you see it throughout the movie, and it's like, man, she is fine. Goodness gracious.
Yeah, I think just based on the way a lot of her stuff was shot and her hairdo specifically, it was like a big homage to Psycho. She looks like straight up Marion Crane this entire movie.
I did not put that together, but I can see it.
Same hairstyle and the way they did the glamour shots with the light right across her eyes. They did that several times. Straight out of Hitchcock.
Next up, we have Candyman himself, played by Tony Todd. I know Tony Todd from Night of the Living Dead, the remake. Love that movie. And The Crow.
Where the hell was he at in The Crow?
He was the crow. Like the actual bird.
Yeah, he was the bird.
He was also in Wishmaster.
As Johnny Valentine.
There you go, Johnny Valentine. And Chris, he did the voiceover for the cutscenes in a little JRPG from 1999 called Legend of Dragoon.
Oh,
You may have heard of that one. Considered a classic.
That was a PlayStation 1 title, ladies and gents.
And be expecting to see Tony Todd reprise the role here pretty soon in the Candyman remake.
Jordan Peele written Candyman remake.
Jordan Peele written. Directed by Nia DaCosta.
Next up, Bernadette Bernie Walsh is played by Casey Lemons, and you might know her from Silence of the Lambs, or she was the director of Harriet, the movie.
The recent Harriet Tubman biopic?
The recent Harriet Tubman autobiography, yeah.
Is that the one where Harriet Tubman's walking around with a shotgun?
I was going
Or
to
is
say
that
yes.
some other movie?
I don't remember
think
that in that
was
movie.
part of the trailer, yes. I didn't
Okay.
watch it.
I actually enjoyed it. I thought it was
That's
pretty
cool.
good. Next up, Anne-Marie McCoy, played by Vanessa Williams, not that Vanessa Williams.
Dude, I wrote the same exact
Also-
shit in my notes.
Also appeared in-
not that Vanessa Williams of Adventures of Elmo and Grouchland fame.
This Vanessa Williams appeared in New Jack City and everybody's favorite grandma show, Days of Our Lives.
She's also, spoiler alert, if you haven't seen the movie yet, why the fuck are you listening to the podcast? She'll be reprising her role as Anne-Marie McCoy in 2021, finger crossed, Candyman.
Oh, Tony and Vanessa coming back.
Yep.
Next up, we have Trevor Lyle, played by Xander Berkeley. You might know him from Terminator 2 Judgment Day and Air Force One. Joey, what do you
This
got?
guy's been in like 1,000 movies.
Yeah,
However,
I know you got something.
His roles are like all bit roles. He played a small part in the movie Heat as well. But it's like that movie is so star-studded, it's like he's definitely lost in the mix.
He's got one of those that guy faces.
Last but certainly not least is a dear old friend. Billy is played by Ted Raimi, who was in Evil Dead and Darkman, just to name a few.
Such a legend. Legend in his own right. Who is that?
How dare you?
I already forgot his name already. What is it? Rainey? Don Rainey?
Candyman had a budget of $9 million and made $25.8 million at the box office. Clive Barker's story was set in Liverpool. However, Bernard Rose decided to change the setting to Cabrini Green, at the time one of, if not the roughest projects in the United States.
A totally different movie if it was in Liverpool, bro.
Yeah.
It's a whole other story.
Hey, bro, I'm the writing on the roll, bro.
In a lot of interviews, Tony Todd talked about how just rough Cabrini Green was, and because of that, 3 days of Candyman's filming was spent in Cabrini Green, with plainclothes law enforcement officers by their side. Tony Todd and Mattson went into the buildings of Cabrini as part of researching their roles, which was useful but distressing experience for both actors.
I imagine Tony Todd's big ass out there doing a fucking speed walk through the damn through the project. Hey, how you doing? Good to see you, brother. Good to see you, brother.
Yeah, you know that voice, that deep, awesome voice he has was totally non-existent in that moment.
One source of inspiration may have been a pair of articles that were written for the Chicago Reader in 1987 about the murder of Ruthie Mae McCoy, a resident of Chicago's Abbott Homes housing project. In 1987, McCoy was killed by an intruder who entered her apartment through an opening behind the bathroom's medicine cabinet.
That's a terrifying experience to imagine happening to anybody.
So apparently that can happen to you too. You know, you're brushing your teeth, you're taking whatever pills you're taking, probably from Roman, not a sponsor.
Oh, I just had this TV dinner. My stomach's hurting so bad. I need some Pepto. I'm gonna shit myself. Oh no, there's a hook! Ah!
Eddie Murphy was the original choice for the role of Candyman, but filmmakers could not afford him.
Hey, Shrek, it's me, Candyman, Shrek. Parfait, what the fuck is a parfait?
I don't see Eddie doing well in this film.
Not at all. It would have been terrible.
And the last piece that I have here is the film used more than 200,000 real honeybees. Tony Todd negotiated a bonus of $1,000 for each of the 23 bee stings that he received during the filming.
That's a pretty boss move.
Yeah, he like Hootie said, real bees were used in the film. They were only 12 hours old. When they're that young, it makes their sting that much less, harmful. I got another little cool tidbit here. Since we're big fans of, I think it's fair to say we're all fans of Last Podcast, right?
Oh yeah.
Dean Coral is actually known as the Candyman, serial killer. He was from Houston, Texas, and his murders took place in the early 70s. He was known as the Candyman because his family owned and operated a candy factory in Houston Heights. However, Tony Todd and the Candyman were not named for Dean Coral.
Well, isn't that a damn crying shame?
I know, right?
All right, with that, fellas, let's get in to Candyman. The opening scene gives a short monologue from the Candyman himself, with a hive of bees swarming and a cry to Helen. We are introduced to Helen being told a story about a recent incident involving a young couple that came face to face with the Candyman himself. We learn that the Candyman has a hook for a hand and can only be summoned by saying his name 5 times in front of a mirror, which seems like quite a lot.
Yeah, for Bloody Mary, isn't it like 3 times? Or is it 5 times?
It is 3.
It's like 3 times. Like, what are you guys trying to prove, huh? All right, can we talk a little bit further about this scene with the babysitter and the bad boy?
Let's discuss the bad boy, yes.
Well, I don't really want to discuss the bad boy as much as I want to discuss the babysitter. All right. So she goes upstairs, she pulls her top off, she's in her bra.
Oh, this is awkward.
I'm going to say this.
I know where you're going.
Look, here's the thing. We're all thinking about it. You know what? And I'm the one in here that kind of speaks, without thinking. So I'm going to go ahead and say
We hope they use protection.
Well, that too. This babysitter has the flattest chest probably in the history of cinema. I've never seen a smaller set of titties on somebody in a movie.
I just thought how awkward it was that she's like, say the Candyman in the mirror and grab my tits while you do it. What is that? What is that even like?
Do you want to live dangerous? It's like, women get really excited when something's dangerous.
Show me how brave you are.
Damn, I guess we just date different women.
Like, that whole choke me until I pass out type deal.
Yeah, show me how manly you are. Choke me out.
Am I hurting you? Am I hurting you? Oh, well, I can't come. You fucking keep asking that.
So, said young lady, according to Joey, with specific lacking in the chesticles.
She's still developing. It's okay.
Developing. We don't know her age.
Still developing. She's 36 in this movie.
God bless her soul. That young woman in the story is met with the Candyman's bloody hook for a hand. And Billy, Ted Raimi, survives but has a full head of white hair.
Billy is just a complete fucko, man. He was just coming in to cuck another guy, too. That was his whole story, right?
That was it. That literally was the story, actually, yes.
She's like, yeah, she's dating a nice guy, but Billy comes and throws some dick with a baby in the next room, so she invited him over.
Billy's the bad boy. We learn that Helen's husband works for the University of Illinois in Chicago, and this, fellas, is our second movie in a row that places a deadly killer in Chicago. So if you're in Chicago, look out for little freckle-faced dolls and really tall black men with hooks for hands.
Short white guys and big black guys. Like everything in between. Just be afraid of.
We find out Helen is doing a thesis study on urban legends, with the Candyman quickly pulling to the forefront of her research. Helen learns that her building was originally built as a housing project that once experienced brutal murders. Upon her discovery, Helen and her friend Bernie say Candyman 5 times in front of her bathroom mirror without anything happening.
But once you actually see him in the film, he kind of promotes this whole "you have to believe in me" thing, right? So I'm thinking
because he goes kind of Freddy Krueger-ish, yeah.
Because she doesn't really believe what she's doing, that's why he really didn't have any power at that point, maybe.
So you telling me that Billy believed in the Candyman while he was grouping? Said
he looked pretty damn afraid to me.
All right, Billy.
That was what was weird to me in the movie. Like, it really alluded to, like you said, like his power coming from fear and recognition and just being, spoken about in whispers and such. But I don't think it ever explicitly stated, hey, this is where he draws his power from.
I thought that was actually one of the most interesting parts or concepts of the Candyman himself, is the fact that he only exists to spread the belief in himself. I thought that was kind of interesting. Different than what you see with some other killers, you know? Like his whole existence is just to continue to exist by making people it's like Santa Claus. You got to make sure you believe in him, otherwise he doesn't exist.
It's also Freddy Krueger, Chris. Okay, we're not going to slander the good goddamn name of Freddy Krueger.
We're talking that's different, man. That's why you're sleeping. We're talking about another. That's subliminal at that point. This is like a conscious belief in something. I believe all kinds of crazy shit when I'm asleep.
Helen and Bernie want to further explore the Candyman's urban legend and travel into the toughest section of Southside Chicago, Cabrini Green.
I really like how they did the shots of the cars on the highway. It was like Grand Theft Auto 2, like it was from above. So it kind of like added like to that criminal feeling to me, you know?
Grand Theft Auto 2, God almighty.
You remember that when you had like the overhead shot, the whole thing was looking down at it?
Yeah, that's a callback for sure.
And they had that chant music. I really like the music they used. I think they just pretty much used the same bit of score throughout the movie. It's like that chant with that dope-ass piano going the whole time.
Apparently this is a well-respected soundtrack that actually got released in like 2015.
That's impressive. I noticed it.
Yeah, there's actually that's the thing about the score. Like you guys said, the movie score is amazing. There's so many moments where it really does build the tension and add to the tension. It feels like in a lot of horror slasher movies, because I guess you can consider this a slasher movie, the actual music itself is overlooked, aside from like Halloween.
Yeah, that's the
Philip
template.
Glass was the composer for this movie, and he is very well respected. He really outdid himself with the movie. But apparently the studio kind of tricked him into doing the score the way he did. He thought it was going to be like some Oliver Stone type film instead of a slasher, and it's really like bugged him ever since.
So he scored it without actually seeing it, or
something like that, yeah.
Bernie and Helen separate in a room that allegedly once housed one of Candyman's many victims. So what does Helen do? Well, she crawls through the bathroom mirror to discover the secret layer that lies beyond.
I really liked her character. Usually, you know, have these women in these situations, and they're kind of like just going through the motions, like victimized in a way. But this chick was really aggressive, and her acting, she just sold it, man.
Yeah, she definitely wore the heroin cap well in this movie.
She was badass.
And what she finds in the layer, I wanted to talk about because apparently the new Candyman is going to expound upon it.
Thank God.
Yeah, but Helen discovers pieces of candy sprawled across the floor that has razor blades inserted inside them. And then it just moves on.
See, here's the thing. I know me and Chris hadn't seen the movie before. This is our first time viewing it. Does it flesh out his story at all in the sequel, Sudi, or have you not seen the sequels?
The second one's good. The third one you can kind of skip, but it does flesh out stuff.
All right, so it actually explains his backstory of why he's called the Candyman and all that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's kind of how I took it. Like, this was something that is added to the lore later, but totally, like, disregarded in this one.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was, like, an Easter egg for the short story or something, which I still have no context for that either, so.
This scene as well has a sequence where she's climbing through, like, a hole in a wall, and we see it from the other side, and it's a giant graffiti painting picture, whatever you want to call it, work of art, of the Candyman's mouth open and his head tilted back, and the score when she actually comes through the wall is fucking incredible. Like the organ playing in the background in the derelict apartment, it gives you chills for sure. I can picture this being on the big screen and like people just like gasping and shitting themselves.
Jesus, I hope somebody shit themselves.
And as someone who's not a fan of like crawl spaces and things like that, her crawling through that dirty ass dark apartment was fucking nerve wracking. I don't think I can do it.
So you can't be a plumber, Chris. That's just confirmed.
Fuck no. I'm not crawling under your house.
All right.
As we've established, I'm not a rats guy. Or possums. Fuck a possum.
So Helen goes back to get Bernie and is interrupted by a housing resident named Annie Marie. She explains that white folk don't usually come around here without causing trouble. Annie Marie tells the story of Candyman killing her neighbor and hearing her screams as she died by his hook. The next thing we see is Helen with her husband Bernie and another researcher. And during this, she talks about her Candyman research And we find out that the other researcher has already done an expose on the Candyman. And he informs her, as well as the audience, of the legend. And the legend goes as so. The Candyman first appeared in 1890. Candyman was the son of a slave. His father had developed a device for the mass production of shoes after the Civil War. Candyman had been given an Ivy League education and developed considerable skills for a portrait artist. Word got around, and a wealthy white landowner wanted Candyman to capture his young, virgin daughter's natural beauty on his canvas. They fell deeply in love, and the young woman became pregnant. The landowner sought revenge and hired a group of men to execute the Candyman. The men sawed off the Candyman's right hand with a rusty blade and covered his naked body in that sweet organic honey taken from a nearby beehive. Candyman was stung to death and burned at the stake.
So the TLDR of this is Candyman talking about, where the white women at? Then they chop off his hand, cover him in bees, and throw him in a fire.
Oh, shit.
Cold fucking blooded, bro.
And this fucking dude, this researcher who's like trying to mansplain all this shit to her, was the most fucking annoying cocksucker in the whole movie.
Fuck all that. Hell no. I had to go back and rewatch this guy 3 or 4 times. You talking about flesh out a story? This is the story I want fleshed out. What's this guy up to?
No, fuck that guy.
Me and this guy would
He
get
knew
along very well.
his shit, that's for sure.
Him and them fucking teeth and that haircut, man. I had to just keep going back and just rewatching it.
I like how he just like, the fact that she said she was going to shut him down or whatever with research. He thought that shit was hilarious.
He did laugh awkwardly.
The paper I wrote 10 years ago, love.
He also seemed very excited as a white man talking about a black man just dying a brutal death. He was very excited about
He
it.
smiled the whole fucking time. This dude was fucking cringe.
He's
to
academic,
100.
man. These guys, they know no shame.
So, after this brutal story, Helen goes back to the projects and meets a local kid that tells her yet another Candyman story. The boy explains that a local special needs kid, to say it lightly, used the bathroom.
Did he say that or did he say something else?
He did not say.
I mean, you can say
special
what he
needs
said
kid.
because it's the movie. You can quote the
He
movie.
said it in 1992 dialogue.
He called the kid a retard.
He did. Okay. The boy explains that a local retard kid used the bathroom while his mother was across the street in a grocery store. The Candyman attacked the kid and cut off his manhood.
Manhood, he was a boy.
Well, his childhood. I don't know.
Candyman cut my man's dick off, left the little guy's fun-sized Snickers floating in the toilet, man. That's fucking savage.
Wait, why's it gotta be a Snickers, man? What the fuck?
Why can't it be a payday? Fuck.
Why would it be a payday? Has he got fucking genital warts?
The little kid said they found it floating in the toilet. Can't fix that. Better off dead.
Better off dead. And my man is 100% on point.
That kid said it's better to be dead than not have a dick.
We haven't discussed either like this common phrase that keeps popping up throughout the movie, written in graffiti. Sweets to the sweet. When she goes in the bathroom, this word or this phrase is written on the walls. However, instead of graffiti, sweets to the sweet is written in shit. Literal shit.
Because we saw it in graffiti outside of the apartment.
It was like thick shit too. Like it was.
Oh yeah, it was. Somebody had been eating a payday before they smeared that shit. Yeah, and then she finds the bees in the toilet as well, and there's a big pile of shit next to that. It's like somebody went in there, had to shit real bad, and they saw the bees in the toilet, and they're like, "Man, I ain't shitting on these bees. I'm gonna get stung in the ass. Let me shit next to the toilet."
The toilet for the bees was freaking dope, man.
That was great.
Like, don't shit here.
As someone who has bees, the amount of bee stuff they use in the movie was pretty impressive.
Yeah, that's like one of those things I've always been fascinated about. Like, they have like a chimpanzee wrangler who brings his monkey on the set, and they do stunts and shit. But then they have the guy who's got a fucking bee. I train fucking bees. Like, that's...
Yeah, nice flex on
skill.
him. Nice flex on him, Hootie. For me, as somebody who uses Burt's Beeswax chapstick, I was very impressed by all the bees, too.
Helen checks out the bathroom and is attacked by a local gang member playing a bit of Candyman himself, who says,
"I hear you're looking for the Candyman, bitch. Well, you found him." And then fucking clocks upside the head with the damn hook, bro.
This scene, dude, I fucking lost it. It was great.
I fucking loved this shit. It was so fucking funny.
That dude looked like he was like 19, playing
But
fucking
he
Halloween.
he opened his fucking mouth, man, and he damn had that deep voice. You know his damn. That's the reason he wears that trench coat. His fucking balls is dragging to the damn ground. He got it covered up.
Yeah, so she gets assaulted in that scene, and then it cuts straight to like the police lineup, and it has like 5 more guys deliver the same line, and I cracked up every fucking time
Fucking
somebody
fat
said
guy. That fat guy. I hear you looking for Candyman, bitch.
Do people actually do they use their real voices in these lineups? I've always wondered that.
I think you're interfering with the investigation. I think that's like another charge.
So you're like withholding information if you're doing like a
something
fake
like that.
voice.
We hear you looking for the Candyman, bitch. You can't say that.
I hear you looking for Candyman, bitch.
So Helen walks to her car in a parking garage and finally meets the Candyman himself, which I think this is like 45 minutes into the film, who confesses that he came for her and asked her to be his victim.
Be my victim.
I like how when she first hears his voice, which is a badass fucking voice, all-time great horror voice, she says, yes? Like, it's like, fuck no, get in the car and lock the damn door. This lady should have been terrified. I wanted to hear Tony Todd say, I hear you looking for Candyman, bitch.
I hear you're looking for Candyman, bitch.
He had a badass coat too, man. I can't talk enough
that's the
about
thing. They all had like really good clothes.
how incredible that coat was.
So in listening to Tony talk about this film in interviews, he said that one, the coat was specifically made by some like famous Mexican stylist.
It was Ricky Martin. Ay, 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 ay.
There is such a tight scene on his shoes because of the backstory with his father developing that shoe thing during the Civil War.
And here's also where he has that kind of poem where he talks about pretty much without these whisperings about me, I am nothing, so I must shed innocent blood. So I thought it was kind of cool that, like I said, he has to propagate his own legend, otherwise he doesn't exist at all.
He says, I am the writing on the wall, the whisper in the classroom. I was thinking he was reading like some under oath lyrics or some shit when he started talking about it. This is also our introduction to his, like, I guess, like, mind control power that he has with his voice. Because he, like, hypnotizes, I guess, seduces her with his voice.
But I also I want to throw in this bit here. This is the first time we really see him. Because to this point, it's all been, like, we've seen, like, visuals of stories people are telling about him. So to this point, do we really believe in him as an audience? Not necessarily. We've only heard the stories about him, which is kind of like his whole character is this folklore up to this point. So I thought that was kind of cool that we were kind of clued into the same type of angle on him that she was. Even though we'd physically seen him on screen before, it wasn't actually the Candyman to this point.
So Helen wakes up in Annie Marie's apartment and finds her crying over her dead dog. Helen then attacks her and is carried away by the police.
How about this crazy shit that just happened? All right, so Tony Todd, a.k.a. the Candyman, be my victim, be my victim. She blacks out. She wakes up. Here's screaming. She's covered in blood in the bathroom. Here's screaming. This black lady screaming her damn head off and shit. She walks out of the room, sees a decapitated pit bull's head laying in the floor.
It was a Roddy, wasn't it?
What's
Rottweiler?
that? Rottweiler, excuse me. Potato. Sees a huge meat cleaver laying next to the dog covered in blood. Grab the meat cleaver next to the decapitated dog's head while it's covered in blood. She is not college educated.
She didn't know she had to defend herself in that moment.
I think it's pretty safe to assume if it's right next to a decapitated dog's head, somebody used that. Now you got your prints all over it. Girl, you're going down 10 to 15. You're out. You're done.
One thing about this scene that did piss me off is when she has to prevent the lady from attacking her, the mom who naturally attacks her. She thinks her kid is missing. The cops bust in. If the black woman was holding that knife, they would have blown her ass away.
Yeah, they would have shot her right in the
But the white lady's just sitting there with the knife. I'm like, oh, they hesitated. Okay.
Well, if you watch that scene a little bit closer, they actually go to the black woman first. They don't even like the white woman's still sitting there with a knife, and they get her second. But they apprehend the black lady.
But you sitting there in your apartment, your damn dog's had his head chopped off, your kid's missing, you're laying on the ground bleeding. This white lady's just sitting there with a knife. The cops, they hesitate for a second.
It's wild that something this old can hold up today. That's kind of sad. The detective from earlier informs Helen that she is under arrest and allows her one phone call to her husband, who finally comes to get her out of prison.
When she had to get undressed for the cop lady, that was a pretty disturbing scene, man. The cop lady really seemed to enjoy that.
Yeah. You think? She's a friend of Ellen, if you know what I mean. Lift up your left titty. Lift up your right titty.
While at home, Candyman comes for Helen once again to inform her that either she allows him to take her, or he will kill the child.
She is very invested in this child that she just met and ain't really done anything for her. Yeah.
Well, she does say when she first picks up the child that she would love to have one. She had like that look in her eyes, and I think that kind of played more into the psychology of how shitty her relationship was with her husband. So obviously, as we'll find out, he fucking sucks.
Yeah, that was kind of wedged in, though. I didn't have any care in the...
I don't know, man. I kind of bought it once I got to this point, I guess. Once the baby stuff came up, I kind of got it. She treated this dude great. He fucking sucked. So I think the kid in her mind was like the kid she didn't have, I guess, at that point. And I thought another cool thing here when she does like, she goes to the mirror in the apartment. We have that long shot down the hallway. And she does like, she opens the mirror. And you're just waiting for her to do like the classic, shut the mirror, he's in the background shit, like the trope. But we get the hook straight through the fucking mirror. That was pretty great.
That was pretty cool. So her husband walks in on her in the kitchen holding a kitchen knife after the hook through the mirror. And she's looking like somebody fit for a straitjacket.
My man's like, oh, here we go again. She done stabbed somebody else.
I should never got your ass out of jail.
You crazy.
Helen wakes up to see that she has killed her friend Bernie and is once again going away, only this time she's going to a psych ward.
Yeah, old Bernie gets it off camera, which again, like I said, there's been a lot of off-camera kills to this point, so kind of tying back to what I was saying with the whole building the legend, like the movie itself is building this legend up for us, because we really haven't seen him in action to this point, not truly.
Is she hypnotized? Is that why she kills people like doesn't know it?
I'm thinking that she doesn't do anything at all. He does it and leaves her in these positions thinking that she may have done it.
Oh,
so she's like in a trance while he's doing his shit.
Any investigator worth their salt is going to look at that body and the way it's tore up, because you can see the couple flashes to the body. It's like just ripped apart. You're not going to do that with a kitchen knife. A kitchen knife's all about like precision, you know?
The psych doctor doesn't believe her story, so Helen calls on the Candyman to show himself. He appears and rips right through the doctor's back.
Well, it's a super crude weapon. Like you really have to like get in there and give it a little gumph to do some damage, you know.
Candyman sets Helen free from her restraints, and she escapes the hospital. Helen goes to the Candyman's lair to find him sleeping? Do urban legends sleep?
And what the fuck was he feeding that baby in there off of his finger? Was it honey?
That's some honey, bro.
Okay.
That's some of that organic that Hootie keeps harping on about.
Some of that candy.
Right before this scene happens, she actually returns back to her home to find that after a month of being locked up in the loony bin, her husband has moved on. He now is courting and probably mating with one of his students that we see earlier in the movie. They're literally painting the fucking walls a different color when she walks in. It's fantastic.
Yeah, at first I was like, oh shit, he's done sold it and moved out of town. He's given up on her.
That's what I thought.
No, he's in the shower.
He's still there.
We just gonna repaint this shit.
He just finished waxing his balls and getting ready for round 2.
It's her dialogue in this scene, man. It really shows how strong of an actress she is and how she embraced this role. I definitely think it's one of the high points in the movie. It's pretty haunting because it's like she openly lets them use the phone to call the hospital, and they're just terrified to do it.
So, Candyman awakes and carries Helen to a nearby table. He tells her that the pain will be exquisite.
This is definitely a Pinhead type deal, talking about the pain being joyful and exquisite. I mean, at the end of the day, though, it's pain, you know. It's Clive Barker. The dude's all about, like, taking pain and making it pleasure.
He probably has a fun nightlife to him.
He probably has a really fucking awesome basement.
I feel like he shoves, like, rose thorns in his fucking pee hole.
Yeah, he's probably into spading.
He's got some Albert Fish shit going on.
He's probably like the most vanilla, boring missionary. I love you, good night kind of guy.
Thank you, Clive.
They probably utilize the Amazon position. We're all about women here.
For our less educated listeners out there, what is the Amazon position?
Just Google it. It's hard to. It's hard for me.
My computer's down. Just explain it to me.
I'm not that flexible without
What
a partner.
fucking book am I getting to see that? Catching the Rye?
Go to your public library, use the free Wi-Fi, and look up Amazon. Candyman lays Helen down and then runs his hook up her skirt, which was kind of like back to Joey's point of like weird sexual tension, I guess.
Looking for that pussy hole.
I feel like he got pretty damn close. If he didn't get in it, he got to the.
I think we hear the actual hook
Yeah.
with a little bit of penetration, like in that scene.
There was definitely like an audio cue. I was like, he's just a tip maybe right now. Either way, I was uncomfortable for her.
Hey, she didn't seem to mind.
Candyman then opens his heavy coat to show the bees living inside his body. He then opens his mouth to show it is full of bees, which he then uses to kiss Helen right on the mouth.
The bees, not the bees. Yeah, this is actually him with the bees in his mouth. If you guys couldn't tell, these aren't like computer generated bees or anything crazy. He literally had a dental dam in his mouth, and these bees are crawling in and out of his mouth. Pretty impressive. He really committed to this role.
I was able to find out that they only use baby bees in this scene, who for the most part were without stingers, and they covered Tony's body in some chemical agent that made the bees think that Tony was the queen bee.
I feel like I just have that shit on me at all times. You never know when you're going to need that. You're sitting like on a fucking airplane, just bees swarming all around you. Like, oh, sorry, I just didn't have time to wash this shit off.
Helen hears the baby crying in a pile of rubbish. She crawls inside to find the child only to be grabbed by the Candyman as the local kids are setting the rubbish on fire.
Apparently this is a common practice in Chicago, just like piling up a bunch of shit and burning it out in the middle of the parking lot.
Helen stabs Candyman with a fiery stake. She crawls out with the baby and is severely burned. Her head is destroyed.
Bro, that fucking hair, man, gone too soon. That shit, it lit up so quick. She had so much product in there.
Norman Bates got a hold of that shit. It's gone.
She went Freddy Krueger real quick.
She comes like the whole army crawl out and everyone's watching. It was a more impactful scene than I thought it was going to be for me.
And they say that a hero can save us.
I'm not gonna stand here to wait.
Oh, y'all talk about my boy Chad now. Okay.
There it is.
Chad boy.
Canada's finest.
So Helen died.
I know, man. That's what I'm saying. That's what got me. I was like, okay, she pulls the baby out. Everyone forgives her for all this crazy shit. No, she died.
It's like, holy shit. Okay, Helen's dead.
All right, first of all, these are the worst like fire blankets anybody could ever fucking use. It's like when they start patting her with the fire blanket, it's like gasoline on the fire blanket because it's like the flames get even higher. Roll her over. There's dirt and shit everywhere.
And she is laid to rest with the entire project building's residents in attendance.
And Trevor brings his damn hoe to the funeral. That was fucked up.
In that scene as well, we come to find out the hooked hand thing for my boy Candyman was left in the pyre. And this is thrown into the coffin, or not into the coffin, but into the grave by our small black child from earlier. I think this is like the final part of the transformation, as we're going to see.
Same kid who said, can't fix that, better off dead.
Better off dead, Helen. Helen, your hair got burnt off. Better off dead. Damn, where to pay, Helen? Better off dead, fuck it.
So the husband, Trevor, is having a hard time accepting the death of his former wife.
Fuck you, Trevor.
While his mistress is making him dinner with the high beams on.
Boy, she
It's cold
got
in the house.
Tim nipples out. Hey, Trevor, thumbs up, brother. You made the right decision.
Trevor loves boobies, man, because earlier we had seen his former wife taking a bath, and she was a very well-equipped lady as well.
So in his depression and crying, he states in front of the medicine cabinet and says Helen 5 times in the mirror. She appears behind him only to kill him with the Candyman's own hook. And we roll the credits.
Don't you forget about me. That's the credit song. Well, he realizes it's like a you don't know what you got till you're gone type deal, right? And it starts out with him being depressed, and then it's okay. I'm not going to be able to live like this without the person I've loved and committed my life to for the last 10, 15 years.
Because, like, when he got to the 4th Helen, I was like, it fucking just dawned on me all of a sudden. I was like,
Don't do it, dude.
I was like, I appreciate this feeling so much, because now that I've seen it, I'm never going to feel it again, but that surprise was great.
And spoiler alert, Candyman 2 and 3, just go back to the Candyman. There is no Helen reboot there.
I'm totally fine with that. I wish we saw even more of Tony Todd in this movie. He's great.
So with that being said, fellas, of the Candyman film, what piece of memorabilia are you taking back home?
This is super fucking easy. It's that Candyman coat, baby.
I mean, it's like a solid, obvious pick. It's a gorgeous coat. It's a heavy coat. Tony Todd wears it quite well, though. I'm not sure you could pull it off quite as well as Tony Todd does.
No, I would never look as good as he does in it, but I'm sure he's probably wearing it right now, drinking some cognac or something.
For me, I want that toilet bowl full of bees. I want to fucking play so many jokes on people with this toilet bowl, bro.
Hey, you want to come over and take a shit at my place?
Yeah. Hey, Declan, go ahead upstairs, take a piss.
Oh, you got a pee-pee, huh, buddy?
You got a pee-pee? Not the bees! Either that or give me the big painting of the Candyman's face. That shit's dank.
Oh, you gonna put that in your apartment? Yeah.
I'd put that, and I'd put my TV right into the mouth, like wall mount it into his mouth.
And for me, as I alluded to earlier, I'm a beekeeper, so I just want the bees. I just want Candyman's bees. I want Tony Todd's bees.
That's like an infinite number of bees, you greedy bastard.
I have an infinite number in my backyard right now, so why not just add more to the pile?
Save the honeybees, guys.
Yeah, save the honeybees.
This episode goes out to honeybees everywhere.
Buy honey, support your local beekeepers.
With that, let's move into the Rotten Tomatoes fan reviews. First up, we have Brady P, who said, "Just stupid. I'll go waste my time somewhere else." 2 stars.
This is a big fan of Jeepers Creepers, obviously. I think we can just move on into the next review.
Yeah, I think that Justin Long probably wrote that.
Where'd you get those peepers?
Where'd you get those eyes?
Tim P says, 80s and 90s were on some horror bull, but I'll take it. 3 stars.
There we go.
Fuck yeah.
It's an actual review. Matthew B says, damn, Tony Todd is amazing. Sexy and gross. 4 stars.
Hey, can't argue with that.
And last but certainly not least is Greg A, who says, the Black Freddy Krueger, and I love it. It was terrifying and nauseating even. 5 stars. So, as we close up the Candyman, what do you fellas think? And let's break it down, horrible film school style, with a letter grade.
Here we go. For me, I was pleasantly surprised by the movie. I've heard about it for years. I just never took the plunge into the world of Candyman. It kind of caught me off guard with how rich the story is. Most horror films you watch, the story is just icing on top of the blood and guts cake. However, with Candyman, it's the story and lead characters that are the main course, and the killings are just the appetizer. If I have one complaint, certain elements of the plot don't really hold up under much scrutiny. For example, the lynching of Candyman, in his origin story that's talked about in the movie, it takes place at Cabrini Green around 1890, when construction on Cabrini Green didn't even begin until 1942. Also, this is more of a personal gripe than it is like a legitimate complaint and criticism, but I really wish we had gotten to see more of Tony Todd and his orgasm-inducing dialogue. He nailed it as Candyman, and I'm excited to see his character development in the sequels. I mean, early 90s horror films, they weren't the best, and this one, it really stands out in my opinion. So, stop watching The Office for the 12th time. Go watch this fucking movie. A fat, solid B, and that's really good. That's like a 90?
That's from a pretty critical asshole's perspective. So
Yeah, there you go.
I think from that review from Joey, we can also say that he agrees Tony Todd is both sexy and gross.
Yeah.
all right, I'll hop in here. I'm gonna go ahead and lead with my letter grade. I gave this a B plus. I'd say I totally loved it, man. The concept, as I've been phoning over, was super interesting to me. Makes me want to get into the franchise. The two leads were fucking incredible. I was shocked about how great the two of those characters were and the two actors. They pulled off some pretty impressive shit for a 90-minute horror movie. The ending was fucking dope. It kind of shocked me. Kept me interested. The only thing keeping it from an A for me, I felt like there was just like one like element missing. Maybe if there was more like genuine fear in the last act, it might have got it over the hump for me. But I felt like once she committed to kind of like his seduction, that it was less a scary movie at that point and more of like a let's just see how this plays out type of thing, if that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely. For me, last but definitely not least, kind of more of the same. For me, Candyman was always a classic. I watched it a lot when I was a child. Tony Todd, always enjoyed his work. Again, the remake of Night of the Living Dead, he did a fantastic job in that. And then Wishmaster, as we alluded to earlier. This movie is a really good film. For me, being a fan of 80s just slasher and creature effect films, I didn't appreciate the fact that it took 45 minutes to see the Candyman. I felt like it kind of drug a little bit in spots. So with that being said, and for my love of Tony Todd, I'm going to give it a B.
Damn, I was the highest on it. I fucking loved it, man. It was great. I'm glad I watched it.
To that point, for me, it could have been scarier and like just could have just drug a little bit quicker. With that being said, Chris, how close were we with the Rotten Tomato fan scores?
Alrighty, so just a recap of this process here. We all guessed the Rotten Tomato audience fan score. Anybody within 3 points gets to pick our next flick. Otherwise, we got to hit the random wheel. So I myself, I guessed a 75%. Hootie went with a 59. Joseph said 55. The actual audience.
Let's go. I fucking need this.
Was a 62.
Yes.
Oh shit.
So Ryan
oh my
Hootie
god, dude.
with exactly
Yes.
3 point gap.
I'm always
Still-
like 2 points off. Or how many was it this time? Was it 2?
That'd be 7.
Yeah, all right. I'm not college educated.
4 plus 3, yeah.
My love for Tony Todd shines through.
Good work by you, Hoots. Unfortunately, I got some bad news for you, buddy.
What? I just won this.
Well, you did win this. You will get your turn to choose what we watch. Unfortunately,
good God.
our next show is going to be Friday the 13th.
Got
so-
him.
I am getting rammed by the system now. Okay.
Yeah, so we're going to start this tradition every Friday the 13th. We're going to review one of the big franchises, Friday the 13th, starting with the first one. So Friday the 13th, Part 1 will be our initiation into the iconic 80s slasher franchise.
I'm going to go ahead and tell you, fellas, I hate this movie. So this should be exciting.
Here's the funny part. I keep talking all this shit about the movie. I've never seen the first one.
Oh, you've never seen
Yeah,
it?
I've never seen it. I just know his mom's the killer. And
in
anytime
for a
it's
rough
like, even
ride.
like Halloween 3. I've never seen Halloween 3. However, I know Halloween 3 doesn't have Michael Myers in it. So why the fuck would I want to watch it?
The only reason I know what his mom looks like is because she's used in like flashbacks in like several of the movies, right? Alrighty, folks. So you want to play along with us here? We're going to watch the trailer for the first Friday the 13th from 1980. We're just going to watch the default trailer on IMDb. So hit the pause button, check it out, come back. We'll share our thoughts afterwards. Let's go.
Hello? Who's that? Oh, hi. you doing out in this mess?
One.
Here he is,
There he
Kevin
is,
Bacon.
the legend with the big old
My
fat cock.
fucking guy.
I'm fucking high, bro. What is that shit?
Well, so that's Friday the 13th, 1980. We got nothing at stake here, boys, but for shits and giggles, you want to guess the fan score from Rotten Tomatoes on this one?
Considering that this set up an entire franchise of 10 plus films, it's got to be pretty high. I'm going to go with a 64.
All right, now I'm gonna do something that's made famous in The Price is Right.
Oh, God.
I'm gonna go 100. No, let's go 70.
Well, since there's nothing at stake, I'm just going to lay right here in the middle. Let me get a 67. All right, folks, thanks for listening. You can find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and anywhere you get your podcasts. Check out the Instagram, the Twitter, links to which you can find on the website, horriblefilmschool.com. Reach us via email, horriblefilmschool@gmail.com, if you would like to. So subscribe, follow, review, spread the word. Tell your friends. Tell them 5 times in front of a mirror. I dare you. I'm going to use my sign-off here to offer my support to beekeepers around the world. You the real MVPs.
Thanks for calling me an MVP, Chris.
That's more directed towards your better half, but go ahead.
Oh, damn. As always, tell at least one person you know about the show. If they like horror, definitely tell them. If they don't, tell them anyway. And with that being said, I'm ready to go have some candy and just watch probably 2 and 3 after this. Just Tony Todd playing the Candyman is always a good time. And with that, I am out.
I'm going to reiterate what these guys said. Thanks for all the love and support. We really appreciate it. Whether you listen to 5 minutes of the episode or the entire episode, we really do appreciate it. With that, I'd like to say goodbye, good luck, good night.